Diablo 4 is dead. Big if true.
Ladies, gentlemen, and Haradrim of all ages, it's time to admit it. For the most part, for the majority of players, at this very moment, Season 1 is dead. It's been
That is absolutely so true, by the way. The only people left playing D4 at this point are hardcore fans. Or people trying the game for the first time.
crawling to a halt since release, really, and there are so many reasons why this happened. In so many ways it could have been solved or at least avoided for a longer time, so let's talk about it all. Last week I dropped a video talking a small bit about the abrupt decline in player base, and 3 hours after that, the developers released trailers and announcement slides for Season 2 coming on October 17th, a season of vampires, vampiric powers, and blood. Doing that just over a month after the release of Season 1 says one of two things. Either, hey, we think this is so good, it'll make people play the game that have never even tried it yet, so we want to get word out about Season 2 early. Or,
Yeah,
hey,
no.
everyone stopped playing Season 1, so here's something that we can use to hopefully build up hype and maybe get you interested for Season 2? The season of...
Now, call me crazy, but I have strong suspicion it's most likely more 2 than 1.
fixed resistances, hopefully. And I think the latter option there is far more likely. The easiest way to see this is to simply look at a very interesting statistic regarding uber unique items, which are the rarest pool of items.
By the way, notice one thing. In every single video that we see, people are only playing the Necromancer. And you know why that is? Because the Necromancer is the only actual functioning class in the game, as strange as that is. You know, remember when Necro first came out and the shadow dot literally made your whole screen black and you couldn't play it? When your summons got instantaneously one-shot by, well, anything on the screen, honestly. Yeah, still the best class. Why? Because it actually has the most functional specs. You can go blood, you can go bone, you can go summons, you can go this, you can do that. There's so many options for Necro. And everything else has like maybe 1 or 2 functioning play styles
in the entire game. From the release of early access for the base game, it took approximately 8 days for the first uber unique to drop for anyone on the planet, with so many people playing the game at the time. These items are super rare. They are known to only drop from enemies that are level 85 or above, and considering how popular the game is and was, that's a really long time for the first drop to happen for even one person on the entire planet.
Well, I don't know about that, honestly. I think currently the average player quits at level 40. They don't even get to level 50. 40 to 50 is absolutely a useless slog in my opinion, and it's as bad as like 80 to 100. And when the game released, it literally took how long for the first person to reach level 100? Pretty long, you know? And how many times did Blizzard nerf experience? Yeah, so there weren't actually that many people on 85. The average player who actually is like hardcore got like level 70 pretty much, and then they quit the game.
Now let's talk about Season 1. It took right around a month before our first uber unique dropped for anyone. That would apply about a 66% drop in playtime of level 85 and above content since the start of Season 1, at least compared to the base game launch. And it's important to note that that doesn't even consider that it is far faster to level up now than it was at launch, so it's easier to get to level 85 content, and also the fact that we have more drops now than we did at launch too.
But we have less players now.
Bosses guaranteed to drop legendaries now. Loot goblins guaranteed to drop legendaries now. Nightmare dungeons having ridiculous extra drop rates now. And it just makes it so much easier to collect strong gear in general than it was at launch. So at a base level, yes, you could argue that the difference in time alone of acquiring our first uber unique as a community indicates a 66% playtime decrease at that level of content. The reality though is that it's actually even higher of a decrease than that, because the differences in drops between base game and Season 1 and all the different rates that it play. All of this to say, people have, for the most part, just completely stopped playing. There are still people playing Diablo 4, there are still people playing Season 1, but it's so many less than we had for the base game.
Yep.
Season 2 has been announced, it looks interesting. They're advertising that all of the
interesting is, well, one way to put it. Most of it's reskins and Blizzard trying to sell you on, the game that was supposed to be on day one as a finished game, which is just bull.
And will carry over, which is a godsend, honestly. It's what we've always wanted. They're reporting 5 new endgame bosses and possibly some returning from the story as well in endgame form, which is not...
We watched the video. This is confirmed that this is going to be literally one new boss and a bunch of reskins.
Awesome concept. That itself, though...
Well, not even reskins. You're just going to get an Dariel that actually deals damage.
Be up to 5 times what we got for Season 1. Then the idea of vampiric powers, along with a number of quality of life changes and fixes. Honestly, I like the idea of the vampiric powers just because from the name of them, I have to assume there will likely be some way for us to get some lifesteal, and I've always found even the tiniest percent lifesteal to be so much fun in an RPG. Even then, at its base level, it's starting to sound like similar types of additional content to what Season 1 had, but just more fleshed out.
Currently, the word around the town is that everyone's gonna freak out. Imagine if the vampiric powers get socketed into the ring and amulet slots. Oh no, that would be the most hilarious thing ever. If that happens, I'm not, by the way, even touching the new season, by the way.
More of that content. And with that, I think it's time to move on to the main topic of the video. Season 1 is dead. So what killed it? What could have been done differently or better? And what can we learn from...
Oh boy! I think the easiest part would be what Season 1 did right. And that's roughly nothing. So everything else is wrong, except that they did roughly nothing right. Okay? So, there you go.
From this, by which I honestly mean what can they learn from this? Well, if you want to know what killed it, you don't have to look a whole lot further than patch 1.1 for starters. This patch hit 2 days before the season started. This was the heaviest nerf patch that has happened in the game, and honestly to any video game in a very long time, making every single person who plays it noticeably weaker and just sort of ruining a lot of people's fun. To put it simply, players get accustomed to feeling a certain amount of power the more they play your game. Giving them more power makes them happier, they enjoy that. Giving them less power makes them upset.
The worst part about this was like a step in the right direction, but Blizzard could not keep their cool and did not keep their balls where they're supposed to be, and just completely flopped it and reverted these changes. But at least it seems like they understand that for the game to be healthy, the game to be good, they need to nerf a couple of things that currently people are doing. Crit damage, and vulnerability are the only 3 stats that matter in the game. Nothing after that honestly does anything to increase damage, and that's kind of what they're trying to fix.
Giving them harder things to fight is sort of the best of both worlds. This patch was very hard on the just giving players less power route, and it was incredibly out of left field and surprising as players because we just didn't have any warning on it at all. That immediate change of momentum from being strong to just sort of middling power really hurt the feeling of the game for a lot of people. Of course, the developers later claimed these changes were meant to happen simultaneously with a nerf to the difficulty of Nightmare Dungeons to sort of even it out in the Nightmare Dungeons, but make the rest of content feel a bit more challenging, which is a reasonable idea, I suppose, but the way that you did it is just so strange, and I have 2 main things to say about it. One, just make everything harder. Scale everything up, give us World Tier 5 or something like that, and let us still have fun and not
Oh no, he's still going on about World Tier 5 doesn't solve a single problem that Diablo has. World Tiers literally don't solve a problem. They're like a 5-minute band-aid that comes off automatically and it's still all pussy underneath.
Super weak either. 2, if these 2 sets of changes were meant to happen at the same time, drop them at the same time. Delay some of them if you have to so that you can drop them together. Nerfing us and then buffing us a little bit later just creates a period of time where the game isn't as fun in between. Same thing for a lot of the class nerfs too. Most notably, Sorcerer got smacked in the face with patch 1.1 with a number of buffs then coming later in patch 1.1.1 that changed things back up a bit. But the problem is that there was like 3 weeks between these patches. 3 weeks where Sorcerer just felt comparatively weird, and they once again said that
Sorcerer's still a shit. This is what I wanted to play on Season 1. Sorcerer's finally. And guess what? The only build you can play is Ice Shards. Everything else is just 10 times weaker, flat out, if not even honestly more. And, well, that's pretty much it. If you're not playing Ice Shards, you're not even capable of honestly playing the game. Because it's just so much better for everything. It's insanity. And, you know, none of that is still fixed. The Sorceress enchantments all feel bad and shitty, okay? Not a single enchantment feels good. That's the brutal reality of it. Not a single enchantment, you know, the special sorcerer thing that you can do, feels good. It's all just feels bad, man.
Originally wanted the buffs to happen at the same time as the nerfs, so it was more seamless. And again, my response to that is, why didn't you then? Why did the nerfs have to come in patch 1.1? Why did they have to be right before the start of the season if the buffs weren't going to be ready until 3 weeks after?
Because they were lying about the buffs. Simple.
That. All that did was create this massive rough patch right at the beginning of the season, which is pretty much the worst place to possibly have a rough patch. Aside from that, my main criticisms of Season 1 and why it died relatively quickly are actually quite simple. Right off the get-go, Malignant Tunnels should have been in the Nightmare Dungeon pool. I've said it multiple times. Yes, they are shorter than normal dungeons, so it would be a bit different. It doesn't matter. Give them level boosted enemies, put level boosted Malignant Elites inside, and give us a forced Varshan boss fight at the end with his level matching the enemies in the Nightmare Dungeon that you're in, so it actually scales in difficulty up to level 150. Bam! Right there, you have 1/6 of the new Nightmare Dungeon pool for the season being brand new content because it's the tunnels we didn't have before the season. Add on to that the idea of Malignant Hearts scaling even past level 5 to level 7 or 8 if they drop from up to a level 150 enemy at a max tier Nightmare Malignant Tunnel, and I feel like that would have totally changed the progression vibe of the whole season if that was a thing. Made people care more about doing some challenging stuff and make it feel a little bit fresh at the same time by making it related to these new mechanics. Both of these things feel like just such a natural progression of these systems to me that with a little more work, of course, it would take that. It would have made Season 1 have notably more longevity to it.
Look at this guy. He has no poison resistance. By the way, people are constantly complaining about poison being OP and whatnot, but not a single elemental mechanic actually does damage if you have 2 items that each have like 30 to 40, you know, plus whatever resistance. You just get 2 pieces of that and bam, instantaneously. Not a single elemental thing does damage to you. It's crazy.
And given that Season 2 currently looks like it's just going to be a bigger, slightly different Season 1, I hope they enact some of the things that I mentioned here. Working the season mechanics in with the pre-existing endgame mechanics, or just creating new endgame mechanics if they really want to go out of their way to, so rather than making people choose between doing new stuff or doing effective stuff, you meld them together in a sort of seamless way. Then my other biggest complaint is the way that Malignant Heart powers work. Of all 32 Malignant Hearts that we got, there's like 2 or 3 of them that are interesting and powerful enough to actually—
There's one, it's the Necromancer one, and that's it. The auto play one.
Really define builds to be responsible for the creation of new builds.
Finally, someone actually says it. No, we have seen so many videos, and not a single person says, "Oh, Malignant Hearts are stupid because there's only one interesting one, and it's the Necromancer's one." No one says that, but yeah, there's only like one legitimately interesting heart, and it's the Necro's one. That's it. After that, it's like, okay, this is lame. Okay, this does nothing. Okay, lame again, does nothing. And that's it.
And incentivize unique playstyles different from the base game. And that is just totally not good enough in my eyes. Vampiric powers in Season 2. Yeah, cool, sounds good, right? But you gotta make them more meaningful, though. Make them do something radical enough to let people make builds that would make no sense at all in the Eternal Realm without these.
Dude, by the way, how right is this on the money? It's crazy. Even you know why I played Sorcerers? Because I saw the ball lightning thing, that makes it go around, and I was like, oh my god, I can play the ball lightning thing that makes it go around, and I can get the thing that's that has a lucky hit chance to spawn me. And guess what? Guess what? Guess what? The ball lightning that spins around you is literally useless. It does damage for less than half a millisecond, okay? It's so small. It is ridiculous. It's like, the first thing Blizzard honestly needs to do to save Diablo 4 is actually make skills function, okay? We can't have a situation where a class has like 1 or 2 usable skills and everything else is just dumpster fire garbage.
These powers. That's the type of thing that I want to see from a season. Total shakeup, short-term shift won't affect the Eternal Realm, but it affects that season so dramatically. I think those are things that could have made Season 1 live longer. Every one of them. But in the end, the reason that it died was simply a lack of fresh endgame content. There was some fresh stuff, but it became irrelevant the higher level that you got, to the point that it was the same endgame loop really as the base game, and people got tired of that pretty fast for obvious reasons. The final reason that I think the season is dead is actually quite recent, and, well, it's the announcement of Season Season 2 itself. Look at the things mentioned in a pure numerical sense here. They've made it sound up to 5 times as big as Season 1. They promised big fixes to the game, big changes to existing systems in a good way, a sizable quality of life improvement as well. I look at that, and my first thought is, yeah, that'll be nice when I get to play that season. Not, yeah, I'm going to go enjoy not having that for 2 months by playing Season 1, because that's sort of what they've done. They've gotten you to look at this thing
that's so true, by the way.
It's coming, saying it's way better than what you've got. And people are obviously not going to keep engaging with the current thing then. Immediately after I put out a video last week asking the question, is Diablo 4 Season 1 already dying? They said yes, and then kicked it while it was down, announcing its replacement before the body had even gone cold. While the announcement was happening, though, the timing was incredibly funny too, because right after Season 2 was announced, a hotfix was released for the game, but the hotfix was broken, and it had to be immediately rolled back, which is, you know, not a great look hours after.
I mean, we're just talking about a small indie developer company that's struggling to put the lights on, okay? Like, damn, they're using candles and reusing the wax, my boy. Like, it's not easy, okay?
Announcing a new season that you want us to trust you with. That's about it then, everyone. Just sort of my opinion on if Diablo 4 is dead, what could have been done to change that, maybe make it last a bit longer, what the announcement of Season 2 means for all of this, and what I think that we could potentially learn from and adapt from Season itself to move forward into future Diablo seasons. I want this game to be good so bad. I want the game to be fun, but I really struggle not to take everything that they say about what will come in the future with a grain of salt.
Right? As it has been said like hundreds of times now, Diablo is a good base game, but everything past the base game is trash. So, you know, fix.
Right now, so we really have to see how it all shakes out in the game.
There's gonna be this one magical patch, who knows when, like Season 10, Season 257, but there's gonna be that one magical season where they suddenly add enough things and fix the base game where Diablo actually becomes a good game. Because the base is good, the skills, the everything is fine. It's just the way it's handled, you know, is wrong. So we need to fix that, and then we can talk about it being a good game.
Itself. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
There we go. That's rage. Okay, well, anyway, this was Squizzer Sid saying thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, have a nice day, bye-bye.